All right, welcome to our little round table. We are all EXP agents, and everyone's been talking about how to not get into a bidding war. And so we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm Thomas Wood from the Lexington, Columbia, South Carolina area.
Hi, I'm Andrew.Kuhlmann. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina as well. Just to give you a little introduction on one of the tips I'm going to provide, I got into real estate in the flip side of this market. It was the beginning of the crash where you couldn't give a home away. Literally in some cities you couldn't. So I'm going to be sharing some of the tips that I've learned through the changing markets.
Hi, and I'm Erin Johnson. I'm in the Northeast Ohio, Akron area, and I am fairly new, so I'm getting into the market in this craziness and quickly learning some great tips that I can share on how to avoid these bidding wars. So stay tuned.
All right, great. All right, so we're going to get into how to buy a house without turning it into a bidding war.
Okay, so what I'd like to share is one of my favorite things. It's one of those famous quotes of "the past leaves clues." Now, why that's important is as realtors, we have a great tool called the MLS. It's a database where no matter what company a realtor's with, they input the data and we can search it. We can see what was on the market, what sold, and what didn't sell. So in this market, when a house goes on the market in the first weekend, it's probably going to have multiple like double digits of offers possible if it's priced right. So how do we find the properties not on the market yet? We use the past. We use the data that we can find. So the MLS lets us search for different criteria. One, what was on the market in the past and never sold? They're called expired and withdrawns. So we can look up anything, say within the last 2 years, to see what sellers rose their hand to say, I want to sell my house. And we can, if it meets your criteria, go talk to them and see if they would be interested now in selling their home. Now, another kind of same strategy, but a little different hybrid to it, is look for properties that have sold. And what I mean by that is, what is something that sold 4 years ago? Most houses, but back in the day, it's starting to change a little bit, but it was 3 to 5 years. If someone bought a house, their life needs would change. Maybe they had another child or they're downsizing. So let's find the houses that sold 4 years ago and make certain it meets your criteria and see if they want to sell now. There may be enough profit for them that they have a need to upsize or downsize. So that would be my strategy, is let's look at properties no one else knows about. Takes a little more research on your realtor's behalf, but that's what we do. So.
Yeah, I've done something similar with, if I have buyers that are particularly interested in a certain neighborhood, I look in that neighborhood and which homes would meet their criteria in terms of size and so forth. And I've actually done some door knocking where I go knock on the door and say, hey, are you thinking about selling, or anyone in the neighborhood thinking about selling? I've got a buyer that's interested, love to be in this neighborhood. They're motivated, they're qualified. Can we talk? If they're not home, I leave a note on their door. I know some realtors will send letters kind of with a similar thought to try to find sellers that aren't on the market yet, so that we could maybe sneak in before and maybe even plant the seed of selling. Maybe they weren't thinking about it, but it could be a good fit for them. You could also do phone calls and postcards. So really kind of just trying to get out there and solicit these sellers in neighborhoods or in homes that might meet your buyer's criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and something I do when I'm out, like, I don't know about anybody else, but I love going to yard sales. And I like going yard sailing. And while you're there, ask, are you selling the house? We're actually selling our house next month, and we're having a yard sale right before we do that. One of the things that we always tell everybody is, thin out what's in the house. Less is more when you're selling. So, and then another thing is the high school graduation. You see the signs out in the yards, a high school grad lives here, or a senior or something. And that's another reason we're selling. We also have a high school senior, and he graduates this year, and then he goes to the Marines. So that was one of the things that we were waiting for, is for him to graduate there, and now we're selling the house. So while you're out, this is something that you know, if you're yard selling, you can look for, you can ask your realtor if they do those things. They may not be a yard sailor like me, but
Yeah, I think it goes back to just canvas, particularly if they're interested in a neighborhood, kind of canvassing and keeping an eye out. You see that yard sale sign go up, or you see that high school grad sign go up, hey, maybe they'll sell, I'll go knock on their door.
Yeah.
The other thing I've done is kind of just solicit my sphere, if you will. So whether it's on social media and Facebook groups, through a letter, phone calls, to say, hey, I have a buyer with these needs. Do you meet these criteria? And are you thinking about selling? Do you know somebody that might meet these needs? And that can just get more eyes out for and ears out for your buyer to try to help them find something. And also talk to other agents that sell a lot in those areas to say, hey, do you know of anything coming up? Do you have any what's called pocket listings, like a listing that's not active, but they know it's coming, or they kind of secretly have it. So making sure that you have those relationships with other agents and have those conversations as well. The more people you have keeping their ear to the ground on it, the better.
One of the things I think we do have to remember too, to give us a little bit more advantage, is some of these strategies is kind of surprising the sellers. And where I'm going with this is we need to get our buyers more flexible on timing. Because if we can help people, because a lot of people right now are really scared about selling because they have no place to go.
That's
So
true.
if we have buyers that are more willing and comfortable as far as flexible timelines, we can get them much better deals. So we need to kind of get in that, you know, have a solid relationship with our clients so that we know that, you know, we have time to get them the right house and that we work as a team together. So
That's true. The more flexibility the buyer has on timing, the better these things will work. Because yeah, if you knock on the door and they weren't thinking about selling, they're not going to sell it tomorrow. You know, they need a little time to figure out where they're going to go and whatnot. So I agree with that.
okay, so you have any other great ideas, Tom, that you've been working lately?
there's investors in the area. Follow up with the investors groups, landlords. There's people that, you know, they have these rentals, and there's going to be some that they're going to want to sell. So you can ask your realtor, you can put it out there and follow up and say, you know, hey, who's got a rentals that they want to sell? And especially, you know, in this market, you know, people are wanting to get rid of some of those.
Yeah, again, if you, along those same lines, if you're looking at a particular neighborhood, or if you're doing like a search based on certain criteria, you can actually see, the realtor pretty easily can see in the tax records if the billing address for the taxes is different than the home address, which gives you a clue that it's probably somebody that's not living there, whether they're renting it out or maybe they've moved to a winter home or something. You can contact them at that other address and see if they're willing to sell. So just another way to kind of unearth a potential opportunity for a seller. I think these are all ideas that really surround this idea of, yeah, unearthing a listing that doesn't exist yet, to try to just get more people out in before it hits the market and goes into the multiple bidding situations. But do you guys have any strategies beyond that, other ideas?
I do. This one may seem kind of opposite to what people are thinking about, but be the second best offer, be a backup offer. Now, the reason I share this is when I started my career doing short sales, that was a tough process. You're trying to get a bank to take less than what they're owed. So that was not an easy process. It usually took 45 days for them to even respond. So in that environment, the first contract always fell through. The second one always got the house. Now, this is a completely different market, but the same principle. We are seeing as many houses fall out of contract due to appraisals not meet, you know, that people can't get financing if it doesn't appraise. So a lot of properties are still falling out of the market, and that's when the seller gets the most motivated. They're already packed up. They've already found their new house. They already have, you know, a storage unit. They want the property sold. They'll sell it for a couple of thousand less the second time than the first time. So be a backup offer, and be a solid backup offer where they know you're going to close if it comes to you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I hope that these tips help somebody out there. And if you're looking for a realtor in these areas or need a referral in your area, feel free to give one of us a call. We'd love to help you out and employ some of these strategies to help you get a house without a bidding war. And if you're out there trying to buy, best of luck to you.